Most people don't notice it happening. It starts so slowly, so quietly, that by the time you feel it, it's already been going on for years. One morning you look in the mirror and your shoulders are forward. Your chin is jutting out. And your back, the back that used to be so straight, is starting to curve. Not dramatically, just a little. And you tell yourself it's nothing. You tell yourself it's just how you slept. Just a bad morning. But here's the truth nobody is saying out loud. That curve isn't from one bad night of sleep. That curve has been building inside your body for the last decade. And if you don't stop it now, if you don't give your spine what it's desperately asking for, that little curve becomes permanent. And permanent means pain. Permanent means stiffness. Permanent means slowly, quietly losing the ability to stand tall, move freely, and live the life you deserve. And the worst part? Most people spend years trying to fix it the wrong way. They walk, they stretch, they take supplements, and nothing changes. Because what's actually happening inside an aging spine is something most fitness advice completely ignores. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you changes everything. Here's what's really going on, and I want you to understand this deeply because it's the foundation of everything. After 50, your body starts to lose something that most people have never even heard of: spinal muscle endurance. Not strength, endurance. The ability of the deep muscles running along your vertebrae to hold their position hour after hour without collapsing. These are tiny muscles, invisible ones. You'll never see them in the mirror. But they're the difference between a spine that stands tall at 70 and a spine that bends forward like a question mark. And here's where it gets interesting. Walking doesn't train these muscles. Running doesn't train them. Sitting doesn't train them. Even most gym exercises don't come close to targeting them. Because these muscles, the deep spinal stabilizers, the multifidus, the erector spinae, the transverse abdominis, they need a very specific kind of stimulus, a very specific kind of resistance, a specific angle of loading that almost no traditional exercise delivers. And that stimulus? You can create it with nothing more than a wall. I know that sounds almost too simple. I know you're probably wondering how a wall could possibly do what years of walking and stretching couldn't. So let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret is 67 years old. She lives in Ohio. She spent most of her adult life on her feet, a nurse for 32 years, raised 3 kids, never sat still. She was, by every definition, an active woman. But by the time she turned 65, something had changed. She was leaning forward at the grocery store. Her back ached by noon every single day. And the thing that scared her most wasn't the pain. It was the way people were starting to look at her. Like she was old. Like she was fragile. She tried walking more. She tried yoga. She tried those long foam rollers. Nothing helped. The pain would ease for a day, maybe 2, and then creep right back. Then her physical therapist introduced her to something she'd never done before. Something so counterintuitive she laughed when she heard it. Wall standing. Not leaning against a wall. Not just touching a wall. A very specific, precise, full-body engagement against a wall. An isometric conversation between your spine and a flat surface. And within 3 weeks, her posture had visibly changed. Her pain had dropped by more than half. And for the first time in years, she felt what she described as tall again. That story is not unique. And the science behind why it works, that's what we're getting to right now. When you stand correctly against a wall, something remarkable happens inside your body that no other standing exercise can replicate. Your heels make contact with the baseboard. Your calves press back. Your sacrum, the flat bone at the base of your spine, finds the wall. And then your shoulder blades. And finally, the back of your head. For points of contact. For anchors along your vertical axis. Now here's the part most people miss. The moment you try to maintain all 4 contact points simultaneously, your nervous system activates. It sends signals racing down your spinal cord, waking up muscles that have been dormant for years. Muscles that chronic sitting, age-related muscle loss, and poor movement habits have essentially put to sleep. And when those muscles wake up, when they engage all at once to hold you straight against that wall, you are doing something that walking simply cannot do. You are reteaching your spine what upright actually feels like. Think about that for a moment. If you've been slightly curved forward for the past 5 years, and most people over 50 have some degree of forward head posture, then your muscles have literally memorized that curved position. Your nervous system thinks that's normal. It's protecting that position. It won't let go of it easily. The wall gives your body a reference point, a physical reminder, a reset. And every second you hold that position, you're writing new neuromuscular memory into your system. You're reprogramming the software that runs your posture, not by willpower, not by constantly reminding yourself to stand up straight, but by training the automatic systems that control your spine when you're not even thinking about it. That's the real secret. And we haven't even gotten to the full exercise yet. But before we do, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people in their 70s and 80s still walk into a room and command attention? Not because of what they're wearing, not because of how loud they are, but because of how they carry themselves. That posture, that lift in the chest, that ease in the neck. There's something almost magnetic about it. That's not luck. That's not genetics. That's a spine that has been maintained. And on the other side, have you ever seen someone in their early 60s who already seems to have aged a decade too fast? Shoulders rolled in, neck forward, shuffling steps, always holding something for support. The truth most doctors won't say to your face is this. Spinal collapse is one of the fastest accelerators of visible and functional aging we know of. It changes how you breathe. It changes how you digest. It compresses your internal organs. It affects your balance, your confidence, your energy. Your spine is not just a column of bones. It is your body's central communication highway. Every nerve signal that travels from your brain to your limbs passes through it. Every organ below your neck depends on clear signaling from the spinal column. When that column curves, when it compresses, when the muscles around it atrophy, the effects radiate outward into every system in your body. This is why the wall exercise isn't just about looking straighter. It's about staying functional, staying independent, staying you. Now let's get into exactly what this exercise is and how it works. I want to paint this picture very clearly so you can see it perfectly in your mind. You find a flat, bare section of wall. No baseboards that stick out too far. No artwork. Just a flat surface. You stand about 2 inches away from it, then gently step your feet back so they're about 4 inches from the base of the wall. Now you press backward. Heels first. Let them touch. Then your lower back. Here is where most people feel the gap immediately. The space between the small of their back and the wall. That gap is your lumbar curve. And yes, some natural curve is healthy. But if your back is more than a finger's width from the wall, your spine is telling you something. Now press your shoulder blades back. Don't force them. Don't jam your shoulders together. Simply let them find the wall. Then finally, and this is the one that takes the most work, the back of your head. Your chin tilts slightly down, not up, and the back of your skull finds the surface behind it. For points, heels, sacrum, shoulder blades, head, and now you breathe. Deep breath in. Your rib cage expands. And here is where the magic happens. You feel muscles activating that you forgot you had. Along your mid-back, your upper spine, your deep neck flexors. Muscles that have been switched off perhaps for years suddenly have a job to do again. You hold this position, and you breathe. Slowly, deliberately. That's the foundation. But there's more to it than just standing there. Here's where most people who try wall standing give up. And it's not because the exercise doesn't work. It's because they don't know about the layers. The basic wall stand, the 4-point contact hold, that's layer 1. It's essential. It builds the foundation. But the body adapts quickly, especially if you're consistent. So there are progressive variations that continue to challenge your spinal stabilizers as they get stronger. Layer 2 involves the arms. From your flat back wall position, you raise your arms, elbows bent at 90 degrees, upper arms parallel to the floor, the backs of your hands touching the wall. This is sometimes called a wall angel position. And if you've never done it, get ready for a revelation. Because the moment you try to keep your arms flat against the wall, while your back stays flat against the wall, you will discover tension in places you didn't know were tense. Your chest will feel tight. Your upper back will burn slightly. Your neck will want to push forward. That resistance you're feeling, that's years of forward posture fighting back. That's exactly what we're working to undo. Hold it, breathe through it, and feel the shift. Now here's the part of the story that gets deeply interesting. And I want you to pay close attention because what I'm about to explain changes how you understand posture forever. There's something researchers in movement science call the anterior chain dominance pattern. It means that in modern life, with screens, with chairs, with cars, with looking down at phones, the muscles at the front of your body have become chronically shortened and overactive. Your chest, your hip flexors, the muscles at the front of your neck. And because the human body is always seeking balance, when the front gets tight, the back gets weak. Your glutes switch off. Your mid-back muscles lengthen and fatigue. Your deep spinal stabilizers essentially go on strike. Walking doesn't fix this imbalance. It actually reinforces it in many people because if you walk with forward posture, you're simply rehearsing the dysfunction at a higher intensity. But the wall does something elegant. It provides a posterior stimulus, meaning it loads the back of your body while simultaneously giving your anterior chain something to release against. You're not just strengthening, you're rebalancing. You're giving your body a template, a physical reference for symmetry, and asking it to relearn how to organize itself around that template. And the research on this is compelling. Studies on spinal stabilization exercises, particularly wall-based isometric holds, have shown measurable improvements in thoracic kyphosis, which is the medical term for the upper back rounding that affects so many people after 50. Not improvement over years. Improvement over weeks when the exercise is done correctly and consistently. But there's one more layer to this exercise that most sources don't include. And this might be the most important thing in this entire video. It's the floor. Specifically, what your feet are doing while your back is against the wall. Most people plant their feet flat and soft. They don't think about their feet. But your feet are the base of your entire postural chain. And if your feet are passive, your glutes are passive. And if your glutes are passive, your lumbar spine is unsupported from below, and no amount of wall contact above will fully compensate for that. Here's the cue that changes everything. While you hold your back against the wall, gently press the outer edges of your feet into the floor. Feel your arches lift slightly. Feel your inner thighs engage. Feel your glutes, yes, even standing still, activate as a response. This is called the tripod foot activation, and it's used by physical therapists working with seniors to rebuild the full postural chain from the ground up. When your feet are active, your ankles are stable. When your ankles are stable, your knees track properly. When your knees track, your hips square. When your hips square, your lumbar spine has a foundation. And when your lumbar spine has a foundation, your thoracic spine can straighten without effort. And when your thoracic spine straightens, your neck finds its natural position. And when your neck finds its natural position, you're standing the way your body was designed to stand. The whole chain, activated from the floor up, and a simple wall made it possible. Let's talk about frequency because this matters more than intensity when it comes to postural retraining. Your nervous system learns through repetition, not through effort. This isn't a workout where more suffering means more progress. This is a reprogramming exercise, and reprogramming happens through consistent, frequent exposure to the correct pattern. The ideal approach is short sessions, multiple times a day. 2 minutes in the morning, right when you wake up, before your body has settled into its habitual patterns for the day. 2 minutes midday, especially if you've been sitting. And 2 minutes in the evening, when your muscles are warm and your spine has been loaded for hours and needs to reset. 6 minutes total, broken into 3 sessions. That's the sweet spot. And here's a beautiful thing about this exercise for those of us who are busy or don't love going to a gym. You need nothing. No equipment, no mat, no specific clothing, no driving anywhere. Just a wall. A flat section of wall that exists in virtually every room of every home. Your kitchen wall while the coffee brews. Your bedroom wall before you dress. Your office wall during a phone call. The wall becomes a tool you carry with you everywhere you live. And every time you use it, you're making a deposit into your postural bank account. Those deposits compound. I want to come back to something I said earlier because I don't want you to gloss over it. The idea that your spine affects more than just how you look or how your back feels. There's a growing body of research in geriatric medicine examining the relationship between spinal alignment and cognitive clarity in older adults. The premise is this: when your head is positioned forward of your center of gravity, a position that affects an estimated 80% of people over 60, there's increased tension on the spinal cord itself and on the vertebral arteries that supply blood to the base of the brain. The result in some people is not just neck pain. It's brain fog, fatigue, a subtle dullness that makes thinking feel harder than it used to. People attribute this to age, to sleep, to stress. And sometimes those things are contributing. But sometimes the answer is structural. The answer is the way your head is sitting on your neck. When people correct their cervical alignment, many report not just less pain, but clearer thinking, more energy, a sense of vitality that surprised them. Your posture and your brain are not separate systems. They are deeply, intimately connected. And this is one more reason why the work you do against a wall is not small work. It is not vanity. It is not optional. It is maintenance of the machine that runs your entire life. Now I want to address something that comes up for a lot of people over 50 when they try to start any new physical practice. And it's not laziness. It's not lack of motivation. It's this quiet, persistent fear that it's too late, that the damage is done, that the curve is already there, that the muscles are already too weak to respond, that at this age, you're just managing decline, not reversing it. I want to speak to that fear directly. The human spine retains the capacity for structural and muscular improvement well into the 7th, 8th, and even 9th decade of life. Skeletal muscle, the kind that surrounds and supports your vertebrae, maintains its plasticity far longer than most people believe. Research on older adults engaging in targeted spinal stabilization has documented measurable changes in muscle thickness, posture angle, and pain levels in participants well into their late 70s. The biology of change does not shut down at 50. It slows down. It requires more consistency. It requires smarter input, the right exercise, not just more exercise, but does not stop. And frankly, the people who benefit the most from this kind of work are not the ones who are already fit. They're the ones who are starting from a place of stiffness and discomfort and years of unaddressed postural drift. Because those are the people with the most to gain. And because a body that has been underloaded and understimulated responds rapidly when you finally give it the right signal. Your spine is waiting. It has been waiting. Give it the wall. There's a moment. And people describe this differently, but there's a moment that seems to happen for almost everyone who does this exercise consistently for 2 or 3 weeks. They're walking somewhere ordinary, the grocery store, the park, their own living room, and they catch a glimpse of themselves in a window, in a mirror, in a reflection, and something is different. They stand for a second, looking, because the person looking back at them is standing differently, carrying themselves differently. There's a lift in the chest they forgot they used to have, a length in the neck they thought was just a thing of the past. And in that moment, something shifts that goes beyond the physical. Because posture is not just about muscles and bones. Posture is communication. It's the first thing every other person reads about you before you say a word. It signals to the world, and more importantly, to yourself, how you inhabit your own life. whether you're taking up space or shrinking from it, whether you're moving toward the world or away from it. When you stand tall, your diaphragm opens. Your voice carries differently. Your mood shifts measurably, physiologically. There are dozens of studies on this. Upright posture increases testosterone and cortisol ratios in ways that elevate confidence. It literally changes your chemistry. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. So here is what I want to leave you with. You are not past the point of change. The story your body is telling right now is not the final chapter. It's the one you're in the middle of, and you still have the pen. One wall, 6 minutes a day, broken into 3 small sessions. For points of contact, active feet, deep breathing, consistent repetition. That's it. That's the whole prescription. Not a gym membership, not a supplement, not a complex program with 20 exercises and a spreadsheet. Just you and a wall, and the remarkable intelligence of a body that still knows how to heal when you give it the right information. Think about what it would mean to stand taller 6 weeks from now, to walk into a room and not think about your back, to bend forward and come back up without bracing yourself, to look in the mirror in the morning and see not the slump of years gone by, but the posture of someone who chose to take care of themselves, someone who didn't accept decline as inevitable. That version of you is not a fantasy. It's not a younger you. It's the you that exists right now, a little dormant, a little compressed, a little forgotten, but absolutely still there, waiting to be activated, waiting for the signal. The wall is the signal. Go find it. Press your back to it. Feel what upright actually feels like. And remember, every second you spend in that position is a second you're investing in every morning you wake up pain-free, every step you take without hesitation, every moment you move through your life with the ease and the dignity you have always deserved. That's what this is really about. Not an exercise, a reclamation.